Bowen Yang for an Emmy. How do we feel about this?
I feel like he's put in the work. I support it.
It was a good year for him on SNL.
Yeah, no, he's becoming one of their power players. And he's going to be in Wicked.
Wait, is he?
Oh, yes, he's one of Glinda's friends at school.
Oh, that's gonna be so perfect.
Hmm.
I'm scared of how excited I am for that film because I'm really scared it's not gonna live up to my expectations.
My hopes are through the roof for this film. John Chu is amazing. Ariana Grande is amazing. Cynthia Erivo is amazing. Expectations are so high.
Actually, we had to cut the song "Popular" from the film was just running way too long for the first part.
That's what would have happened if they made it just one movie instead of two. By all accounts, it looks like it's going to be great.
Well, Steve, if you care to find me, should we get this started?
Look to the western, let's do this!
All right, we're back, baby, in three, two, one, hit it!
Two friends named Corey and Steve like talking about films and TV. They thought, hey, what if this was a show? That's how we got here, now you know. Wait, what's the name? That sounds terrible, go on. That sounds terrible, go on. We hope you stick around and have some fun right after our intro song. That sounds terrible, go on.
Welcome back, folks, to another fantastic episode of That Sounds Terrible, Go On. I'm your host, Corey.
And I'm your host, Steve. Hey, we're back. A little bit.
Yeah, we're kind of a little back, guys. It's been a long time since we have graced your ears with brand new episodes. The last episode we recorded last year, TLDR, a lot of crap has gone down, but we are back. Going to be back in a bit more of a spaced out manner here because we don't want burnout, because burnout is a lot of what causes these very long hiatuses, and we don't like that. And I'm sure you all find it terrible as well.
Oh, yeah. Just call me Burnout Standards.
There has to be a meme where someone took his face and put it on Vin Diesel. And if not, we need to make it trademarked. But you know what you can't trademark, Steve?
What's that, Corey?
You can't trademark holidays.
Sure.
Well, at least not the traditional ones. You know, like you can't trademark, like Labor Day. You can't trademark that. You couldn't trademark Valentine's Day or the 4th of July or even Bastille Day.
That's true, I tried. The Bastille said no.
What a bunch of Bastilles they were. But Steve, speaking of trademarking holidays, today we are talking about the 1993 classic, The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh, Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas?
No.
Oh, Walt Disney Pictures presents Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas by Tim Burton?
Produced by Touchstone. Yes, correct. Oh my God. Don't get me started with that. I hate it. I hate it when people are like, oh, Tim Burton's never. No, because we'll get more into it. But Tim Burton pretty much showed up on set twice and went, cool, I'm going to go keep making Batman Returns, and then left. The man did practically nothing.
So Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas then?
Boys and girls of every age, please gather round as I start screaming at Steve something strange. And much like the shadow at the moon at night, Steve, I've been asking myself a lot of things, such as, do I know you?
Don't you?
Let's find out.
Let's.
So, Steve, in the film, Jack Skellington, our hero, stumbles upon a group of holiday doors, each leading to their own respective holiday worlds. Steve, if you had to pick another holiday door to add, which holiday would you pick?
Ooh, yeah, you know what? I would go with April Fool's Day. I think that would just be a wacky, nonsensical world where nothing makes sense and you never know what's real.
That would be so much fun, and honestly, if they ever did a sequel, I think that's the one I'd want. Like, give me like a 30-minute or like a 15-minute short of Jack being like, no, we're pulling pranks on people now. We're taking over April Fool's Day.
Hell yes. Corey, what world would you want to see?
I'm not gonna lie, I would really like to see Bastille Day. I mentioned it before, but I just think it would be really, I don't know. I just like the idea of a bunch of people outside screaming, we want these prisoners released. And then, a king reluctantly every single day just says, all right, let them go.
Amazing. And everyone's sad in French.
And the symbol would be, of course, a baguette.
Naturally. Yeah. Yeah.
What would yours be? What would your April Fool's Day door be?
Ooh. Um, Maybe like a dunce cap.
Dunce cap. All right. I could get behind that. I don't know. Is that really pranky though?
Mousetrap? No, that wouldn't make. I don't know. Eh, hmm.
That's right. You're getting a double question on this one. How's that feel?
The international symbol of April Fool's Day. I don't know. For some reason, I'm picturing one of those hats with the propeller on top. Let's go with that.
You know what? I'm for it. I'm for it. I'm also for question number 2. In the film, Jack has a great idea. Hey, we usually do Halloween, but what if we put a Halloween twist on Christmas? Now, let's talk about the reverse here, Steve. What's a Christmas tradition you would want to carry over to Halloween?
Ooh. Okay. Well, you know how the worst houses on Halloween always gave out like raisins and apples and toothbrushes and stuff?
Yeah.
Swap that out for fruitcake.
Oh, that's so evil. Specifically, last year's fruitcake.
Yes, absolutely. Corey, what would you bring over?
I'm not a Halloween tree. I'm just gonna be very super generic about that. I love the idea of just like hanging little light up like skeletons all across like a tree. Give it that, nice creepy like big spider on top instead of an angel.
Oh, yes. Yes, yes. Me, Ray Bradbury.
Steve, it's the end of August as we record this. Summer's finally wrapping up. Labor Day's just around the corner. So I have to ask, how was your summer?
You know, it was largely uneventful, but I feel like in my own way I still embraced Brat Summer and made it the most I could. Bumping that, as Charlie says. And yeah, I had a good time. How about you, Corey?
It's been a show of a summer. I'm not gonna lie, but you know what? I am very much so looking forward to the fall. I'm super excited to be doing some traveling over the next few weeks and seeing where life takes me.
Oh, you're traveling? What kind of traveling you do there, bud?
A little bit of here, a little bit of there, a little bit of coming to the West Coast to see you.
Oh, snap, it's happening.
That's right, folks. I'm going to be visiting Steve for an entire week in just a few short weeks.
It's going to be great.
It's even better because we're going to go see Childish Gambino together.
Oh my god, we are?
Yes!
What? I'm so excited.
Oh my god, I can't stop thinking about it.
Oh yes, this is real. Tell me how it feel.
I've literally been going outside every day that I can to try and get some type of base tan. Because if you think I'm not going shirtless on that beach, you're crazy.
Yeah, buddy.
Everybody gonna see them nips.
The people gotta know.
And now, Steve, I know you.
And I know you.
All right, folks, it's gonna wrap up Don't I Know You, and before we get into anything else, just a quick commercial break.
It's definitely not gonna demonetize us.
All right, folks, I am here at Goblin's Den Tattoo out in the lovely Syracuse, New York, being currently inked by Leah, owner, operator, and a fantastic individual. Leah, how are you doing today?
We're doing good. We're doing good.
Doing really good, doing good. Am I doing good? Am I sitting good?
Yes.
Excellent. Fantastic.
We're both hydrated.
That's the dream. Let's be honest here. So how long have you been tattooing for?
I have been tattooing for technically 5 years.
So tell me, what are your favorite tattoos to both design and put on people's bodies?
I think the biggest thing for me is for someone to be really inspired with their idea, really excited. That's always a plus, and not just like a last second kind of deal. Something that you can think about and be like, yep, this is how we're going to do it, critique it, special, all that jazz. But personally, when it comes to style, my drawing style is preferred anime, but I do like cartoons, I do like spooky, scary stuff, I like plants and stuff. A lot of people come to me for floral. Yeah, so I like more animated stuff that can be stylized. Kind of neo-traditional, but not so out there.
Well, you heard it here, folks. If you're looking for any of those kinds of styles or designs, you know exactly where you need to hit up. That is Goblin's Den Tattoo out in Syracuse, New York. What's the Instagram name?
Instagram name is Goblin's Den Tattoo. Same for Facebook. We're currently adjusting our social medias and getting them more active. So Instagram, Goblin's Den Tattoo. Facebook, Goblin's Den Tattoo. And my name is Leah Tran, if you're trying to look for me personally. We also have another artist, Sid, and Sid is also on there as well.
And folks, the Goblin's Den Tattoo is also a safe place for those of you who are LGBTQ+. So if you're looking for a shop that's both safe and not run by pieces of human garbage, then we can give you the guarantee that the Goblin's Den is the destination. Again, that's the Goblin's Den. Find them on Instagram or Facebook and book your next session today. Welcome back, folks.
Howdy.
Oh, howdy the do. And that didn't make any sense, but do you know what does make sense, Steve?
Is it the cast and crew, Corey?
That's right, Steve. It's the beautiful people of our cast and crew.
No, it's the cast and crew.
As always, folks, the cast and crew is part of the pod. We talk about some cast members, talk about some crew members. Now, are we going to be able to get to every single one of them?
Yes, absolutely. Especially Tim Burton, twice.
Nope, not at all, Steve. Tim Burton ain't even going to be mentioned more than once in this cast and crew, hopefully. We just don't have the time available to us, folks. But if there is somebody a part of this cast and crew that you feel we should have touched on and we didn't, please be sure to hit us up on our Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube page.
Engagement.
All right, folks, kicking off here, we've got the director, Henry Selick. Wait, that's not Tim Burton.
It's just like, it's a stage, it's a pen name. It's a pseudonym.
Yeah, of course. It's a pseudonym for Run Lixe. Yeah, right. That's Tim Burton's real name. Selick is best known as none of that's true. Selick is best known as the director and screenplay writer of 2009's Coraline film adaptation, as well as the director of 1996's James and the Giant Peach film adaptation. Selick really hasn't done a ton, and I'm kind of sad about that.
Yeah, I mean, the dude has a legitimately great eye. He's got a warped sense of, like, vision, and he looks like a stop-motion character on top of everything else.
That's why he's just so good at making stop-motion films. I mean, because James and the Giant Peach was mostly a stop-motion film.
I'm pretty sure it was entirely.
No, there were a few live-action scenes.
Oh,
There's a
that's right.
live-action
Yeah,
at the beginning
that's
and a
right.
live-action bookend. Yeah.
Yeah. Real people. Who cares? He did Wendell and Wild a couple years ago.
Never saw that.
Me either, but it had Key and Peele in it.
Oh, he also directed Monkey Bone, but I mean, we don't need to talk about that.
We don't need to talk about Monkey Bone.
We'll get there. But yeah, his direction in this, like he really had the right vision here, and Tim Burton chose the right person to take the reins on this and just left him to his own devices, and it pays off. I feel like he would have had a much larger career if Nightmare had made like a ton of money when it was released, because when it was released, it was real quick. Like nobody really saw it. It was home video that kind of brought it all together. And I feel like that's kind of what stunted his career, because Hollywood's like, yeah, but you didn't make money in the theater. We don't care about you.
Yeah, I can attest to that. I saw this on VHS.
It's really sad. But you know what is sad? Correct, Steve. The people of Halloween Town are, but also Tim Burton, who this story is technically by. Burton is best known as the director of 1989's Batman and its 1992 sequel, Batman Returns, 1996's Mars Attacks, 1988's Beetlejuice, 2005's Corpse Bride and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, 2001's Planet of the Apes, 2012's Frankenweenie,
Episode 16.
2007's Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street,
Episode 52.
and 1985's Pee-wee's Big Adventure. He has also been nominated for 2 Oscars, 3 BAFTAs, 4 Golden Globes, winning 1, and is the winner of a Daytime Emmy Award for Outstanding Children's Animated Program for the Beetlejuice cartoon. So we do have to bring up Tim Burton, even though he really didn't do much with the production here, other than he came up with the idea of Jack Skellington finding this land of Christmas and deciding I want to take over Christmas and give it a Halloween twist. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah, he also provided like the entire aesthetic that the film draws from. To be fair, that's his drawing style through and through that they brought into 3D.
It's called what's it called? The German.
Oh, German Expressionism. Yeah.
Yeah, German Expressionism. Yeah, we talked about that when we did a Frankenweenie. You're right. No, and you could definitely see a lot of that in here, especially in the graveyard when during Jack's lament. I see it left and right, like especially like in the graves themselves. I really see that German Expressionism come out. And yeah, it's his style. I just hate that everyone brings up like, oh yeah, Tim Burton directed it. No, 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 no. Let's show respect to Henry Selick here.
Yeah. Henry Selick, the director of Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas.
I hate it here. But you know what I don't hate?
I got nothing.
The screenplay by Carolyn Thompson. Now, Thompson is best known as the co-writer for 1993's Homeward Bound, The Incredible Journey remake, 1991's The Addams Family, and 2005's Corpse Bride. She was also both the writer and director of 1994's Black Beauty. Carolyn has not done a lot post-90s. She had a very large boom and then just kind of didn't do much in the writing department, at least.
Yeah, she wrote a very efficient script here. It keeps moving. The necessity of shooting stop motion means you want the film to be as short as possible, which means you want the plot to move along as quickly as possible. And it does without feeling rushed, I feel. And that's largely to her credit.
Not a second is wasted. Everything is properly presented. There's some plot holes, we'll be honest, but I mean, that's going to happen in these types of films. There's going to be plot holes. You can't fully hold that against the entire film. That's just silly.
Yeah, it's a whimsical little story. Don't think too hard about it.
Next up, we've got music by, as well as the singing voice of Jack Skellington, Mr. Danny Elfman. Elfman is known as the lead singer and primary songwriter for the 80s new wave band Oingo Boingo. He is best known as the composer for such films as 1988's Beetlejuice, 1985's Pee-wee's Big Adventure, 1989's Batman and its 1992 sequel, Batman Returns, 1996's Mission Impossible, 1990's Edward Scissorhands, all of the Men in Black films, 1997's Good Will Hunting, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films, 2001 Spy Kids, 2005's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and Corpse Bride, and 2015's Goosebumps film, just to name a few things. He's also been nominated for 4 Academy Awards, 2 BAFTAs, 5 Emmys, winning 2, 3 Golden Globes, and 11 Grammy Awards, winning 1, and in 2015 he was even officially inducted as a Disney legend. We'll start with the music. The music is iconic.
Bangers and bangers and bangers. It's a very unique kind of sound that he brings to the table, but it fits the aesthetic of this like perfectly. Yeah, now I'm hesitant to say nice things about Danny Elfman.
Yeah, one thing we didn't mention, folks, is Danny Elfman is currently facing not his first, but his second accusation of sexual harassment and misconduct. First one, he had settled back in 2017 with an 830,000 NDA with someone whose name can't be mentioned, as it's literally omitted from the court documents. The other person came forward sometime in July of this year. So yeah, Danny Elfman no longer gets the choir because I don't feel comfortable.
Yeah, it's not great. Don't be doing those things.
Yeah, it's real easy. Just don't be a piece of shit. You know what I do every day I wake up, Steve?
And you choose to be a piece of shit.
No, I choose not to be a piece of shit.
Oh.
Yeah, you got to read the whole memo next time, buddy.
Well, reading.
Danny Elfman should have read that memo, but credit where it's due. This music is great. It is a lot of earworms in it, very catchy tunes. That's really the most I want to say about that.
Yeah, fair.
And to talk about his singing voice, it should come as no surprise he has a good voice because, you know, he was a singer in a fairly decently large-sized band in the 80s.
Yeah.
Moving on, though, we have Chris Sarandon as the speaking voice of Jack Skellington. Sarandon is best known as Jerry Dandridge in 1985's Fright Night, Detective Mike Norris in 1988's Child's Play, Dr. Tom Halverson in TV soap opera Guiding Light, and Prince Humperdinck in 1987's The Princess Bride. He's also been nominated for a Golden Globe, an Academy Award, and a Saturn Award. He's even continued being the voice of Jack Skellington in multiple video games and as part of multiple Disney attractions as well.
That is quite the resume that he's got there. I had no idea that it was Prince Humperdinck. That's wild. And like his voice fits so seamlessly with Danny Elfman's singing voice. Like he did a great job of matching that.
Oh yeah, and I absolutely picture him dressing up like Prince Humperdinck when he's doing Jack's whole everything. God, he captures this character so well. Jack Skellington is not a very complicated character, but he is someone who is very relatable in that he's achieving a lot and he feels he's kind of like, all right, I've done everything. What else is there for me to do? Like always looking for what's the next thing that I can really accomplish because I don't feel fulfilled right now. And that's not super complicated when it comes to characters, but the way that Sarandon presents him just captures it so well. It's this very slight tone about him. He's never like talking at somebody, even when he is talking at them. It's always this nice, calm demeanor, like he's very collected.
Yeah, well put. He's a public figure in Halloween Town, and he's got that sort of politician-esque delivery of things, but at the same time, he's kind of got the whimsy and the excitement of a child when he gets really into something. It works.
Much like the whimsy of the children that should be watching this.
Absolutely. Turn off the podcast, kids. Turn on Nightmare Before Christmas instead.
Moving on, we have Catherine O'Hara as Sally. Now, O'Hara is best known as Delia Dietz in 1988's Beetlejuice and its upcoming sequel, Beetlejuice, Kate McAllister in 1990's Home Alone and its 1992 sequel, Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, Allie Earp in 1994's Wyatt Earp, Hooky Fleck in 2000's Best in Show, Mickey Crab in 2003's A Mighty Wind, the voice of Susan Frankenstein / the gym teacher / weird girl in 2012's Frankenweenie, a founding castmate of TV's comedy sketch show SCTV, and Moira Rose in TV's Schitt's Creek. She has been nominated for a Primetime Emmy Award 8 times, winning 2, 5 Screen Actors Guild Awards, winning 2, a Golden Globe, and in 2021, she was selected in the inaugural Forbes list of 50 over 50.
Love her. She can do no wrong. She's Catherine goddamn O'Hara.
She's got BME, big mom energy.
Oh, hell yeah.
She looks like the kind of mom who would crack open a bottle of wine while you come over and you're trying to talk about your problem. And she's just like, yes, he sucks. Here's some wine. Let's have this conversation. And she's got you laughing within 5 minutes.
Absolute sweetheart. Love it.
And for her choices, Sally is honestly, I feel a little bit of a step away from the type of character she's normally known as playing. Sally is very like constricted in a sense, like super soft spoken, like almost meek in how she, approaches things, where looking at like the rest of her roles, nothing like that whatsoever.
Yeah, it's a very, very timid role. Honestly, they didn't give her a ton to work with here with Sally, but she nailed it.
Well, the thing about this movie and a lot of its characters, and of course Sally is no exception as well, everyone is just as they seem. There's not really a ton of layers here to these characters, and there doesn't need to be.
No.
It's just a good, fun, spooky holiday time.
Yeah, it's for kids.
Also, her singing voice, I had no idea she was this good of a singer.
Surprised she didn't do more.
Maybe the opportunities never came. Maybe she's like, no, I did that once. I don't want to do that again.
Well, she also did A Mighty Wind.
Maybe she wants to do it for the right people.
Yeah.
Next up, we've got Ken Page as Oogie Boogie. Now, Page is best known as the originator of Old Deuteronomy in the original run of Broadway's Cats, Ken in the original New York Cabaret's version of Ain't Misbehavin', and King Gator in 1989's All Dogs Go to Heaven. He would reprise the role of Oogie Boogie in 5 video games, including Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2. Ken Page is one of those people who's an absolute legend on the stage, but barely touched Hollywood, and I'm kind of okay with that.
He's got an insane voice, lends itself to being a villain super well. Like a fun New Orleans steamboat captain at the same time. There's just something about him that walks that line of fun but scary and intimidating. He's having a blast.
Absolutely is having a blast. I really felt like a little bit of like a playfulness, like in a Cab Calloway type of playfulness in him in the way he sings. And I think it's perfect for who Oogie Boogie is. Oogie Boogie is someone who is playing with these people. Like, yeah, he's going to murder you, but he's going to have a lot of fun while he's doing it.
He's got to make a game out of it.
Oh, absolutely. And, he's the house, and the house always wins.
Yeah, Dr. House always wins.
Not against pills. Next up, we've got Ed Ivory as Santa Claus. Ivory is best known for this role. He hasn't really done anything else worth mentioning, just a ton of bit parts. He was also the narrator at the beginning of the film.
This is one of my all-time favorite Santa Clauses, just in anything ever. He's very just like no nonsense and gruff and gets angry at things easily, but at the same time you can tell that he really cares about the holiday and like he's genuinely there for the kids. I love that he can pull both off, and I love how grumpy he is.
I guess grumpy's probably the best word to put it. I just feel like he just feels he's like, oh, you guys are creating so much more work for me. Like, I'm gonna get it done, but just good God, stop touching it. Just stop touching things. Like he's like that really frustrated dad who's trying to work with his like kids to like build something together. And he's like, no, just stop touching it. Just go away. You're done. I'm over this. He's so over the Halloween BS. He's like, listen, I stay in my lane. I don't bother anybody. I create joy. What the hell are you people doing here? That's the energy I got from this character, and of course from Ed Ivory the entire time. Like, it's a fine mix of like, what the hell is happening? And once he realized what was happening, he's like, oh God, I'm so over this crap.
Well put.
And folks, that's going to be our cast and crew.
Yeah, it's the cast and crew.
Next up, the generically named How It's Made.
Hey, how'd they make that?
As always, folks, with the generically named How It's Made, I have gone through and compiled an entire production history to the best of my abilities, putting everything into a single document. Now, Steve has not seen this document before, so he's going to read it out loud to you all, giving his takes to us in real time. So, Steve, whenever you're ready, kick us off.
After completing a short film, Vincent, in 1982, fun little short film, by the way, if you've never seen it. Little kid who really wants to be Vincent Price when he grows up and just devolves into this gloomy madness. It's great. A then employee of Walt Disney Feature Animation, Tim Burton, would write a 3-page poem titled The Nightmare Before Christmas. The poem would draw inspiration from television specials such as 1964's Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, 1966's How the Grinch Stole Christmas, and the 1823 poem A Visit from St. Nicholas, aka 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. Initially, Burton wanted to adapt the poem into a TV special with narration by Vincent Price, but also considered making it into a children's book. After creating concept art and storyboards with Rick Heinrichs, Burton would show the work in progress to Henry Selick, who was also a Disney animator at the time. Disney even had it in their radar to either become a short or 30-minute holiday special. However, this was shelved after the release and backlash of Burton's short film Frankenweenie caused Burton to be fired from Disney, with the studio also calling the project too weird in 1984. Spoiler alert, that is a really weird movie. Kid's dog gets hit by a car, kid goes full Frankenstein and resurrects the dog, and then it's just like this zombie dog running around the neighborhood terrorizing everybody. It's great.
Shelley Duvall's there too.
Oh, she sure is. R.I.P. Finding success in directing such films as Pee-wee's Big Adventure, 1988's Beetlejuice, and 1989's Batman, Burton decided to return to the project. However, in 1990, he found out that Disney still owned the film rights to The Nightmare Before Christmas project. Using his newfound success to sway Disney's interest, then chairman of Disney, Jeffrey Katzenberg,
I say
would agree to have Disney back it as a full feature film. Already having signed on to be the director of 1992's Batman Returns, and with not wanting to be involved with the filming process due to the painstakingly slow process of stop motion, Burton would sign Selick to direct. Burton then worked with Michael McDowell to begin adapting the poem into a film, with the two butting heads frequently and eventually getting Burton to agree to make the film into a musical. Great choice. Burton would then approach Danny Elfman to write both the lyrics and the composition. Elfman would come up with about 2/3 of the film's songs with just a rough storyline. Caroline Thompson would be then hired to pen the original screenplay, but most of her writing wouldn't be used, as Selleck was reportedly constantly rewriting the script while shooting, and Caroline was busy with other films. Production began in July 1991 in San Francisco, California, with a crew of 120 workers, over 20 sound stages for filming. That's quite a lot of space.
A lot.
Yeah, like are there even 20 different sets in this movie? That's wild.
I would imagine they were probably shooting like scenes that all take place at the same time, multiple shots of the camera at different places at different times. But to me, that would make the most sense if you're doing like a full production like this. If you have enough of the models and you have enough of the background, why not be like, okay, so this shot will do this, and the next shot we'll shoot in here, or we'll do this shot of this character here, just to kind of maximize your time, because stop motion takes so much time. I think Parks and Rec did it best, where Ben Wyatt was like, oh, I'm without a job, but look, I made this short stop motion animation film, and it lasted 3 seconds, and he just went, I spent 12 weeks on that.
Yeah, no, I can personally attest to how long it takes stop motion to happen. It's quite the grueling process, so that makes sense. Let's go with that. Filming and editing would last around 2 years. During those 2 years, Burton reportedly only came on set 5 times. Ha! You said twice! Suck it! Spending no more than 8 to 10 days total overseeing the project. Prior to release, Disney would decide to release the film under the adult-oriented Touchstone Pictures banner, believing that the film would be too dark and scary for kids. I saw this when I was 5 years old, and I was fine. So.
He was not fine. He was scarred for life.
Shh! They don't have to know that. Damn. The Nightmare Before Christmas would premiere on October 9th, 1993 at the New York Film Festival, before being given a limited release on October 13th, then getting its wide theatrical release on October 29th. It would go on to make $50 million against a $24 million budget during its initial run. Yeah, that's not great. The film, while not loved by filmgoers while in theaters, would go on to find success in home video sales, earning itself cult film status. The film would then see a surge in mainstream popularity in the mid-2000s, which prompted Disney to provide a 3D reissuing of the film in theaters in 2006, earning it $11.1 million more at the box office. I personally went to go see this in theaters in 3D. I think they released it for like a couple years, like every Halloween, even though it's a Christmas movie. We'll get to that. But it was just terrific to be able to see this on the big screen finally.
Oh, yeah, and also the 3D was just kind of like a thing that was sort of starting to make a comeback again. And from what I remember, they did really well with what they actually made 3D in the film. It didn't feel very gimmicky. It actually felt like, okay, this is properly where it should go.
Yeah, it worked. Also, just side note, the album Nightmare Revisited is worth checking out if you haven't. It's the songs of Nightmare Before Christmas, but covered by popular artists of the mid-2000s, and there's some good stuff on there. The 2007, 2008, 2009, and 2020 reissues would earn the film another $25.2 million, bringing the current film's total box office gross to $95.8 million. That's a little better. That's a good job. The film would go on to be nominated for an Academy Award for Best Visual Effects. Interesting, because it's animated. 3 Annie Awards, winning 2 of them. 1 Golden Globe, and a Fangoria Chainsaw Award, whatever that is.
Fangoria is a very popular and famous horror magazine. They've been around, I believe, since the late 70s, if not early 80s.
Well, good job, movie. You got one of those. It has also produced a large line of merchandise that includes action figures, costumes, a collectible card game, board games, a cookbook, a graphic novel adaptation, a manga adaptation, books, and 2 video games.
I would like to add on, I do own the manga adaptation. I haven't read it just yet. As for the books, there is one where it's like a sequel book from like Sally's perspective of things. It's like Sally's story or something like that. I've heard nothing about it other than it exists. And as for the video games, one of them was for the Game Boy Advance. That was a prequel to the films. It shows where Oogie and Skellington's rivalry came about. Haven't played it because I don't own it. But the other one I do own, that one is called Oogie's Revenge. It is a sequel to the film, and it's pretty much a hack and slash. Like if you play Dynasty Warriors, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There's some puzzle solving in it. Otherwise, it's a very simple straightforward game. You will love the game if you love this world, because there is a bit more world building in it, and you get to see more of the town and more of these characters. The plot is somehow Oogie Boogie returns, and he's coming back because he wants to become the king of all 7 of the major holidays. So he steals the doors, and you as Jack have to go and recollect the doors and go on missions and save the people. It's very straightforward. It's very silly, but if you want the closest thing you're ever going to get to a sequel idea, that's it.
Nice. What systems was that on?
That was on PS2 and the original Xbox.
Gotcha. That's why I couldn't get a GameCube emulator of it.
One day, my friend.
I don't think that's going to happen.
No.
Thus concludes the generically named How It's Made. Oh, that's how they made it.
All right, folks, before we get into anything else, we have to take one more advertisement break. Don't be scared off.
Boo.
Ah! Folks, you've been asking about it for years. You come up to me, you come up to Steve, and you say, guys, where's the merch for the pod?
I know, right? Just leave us alone for 2 seconds, people.
That's right, Steve. We've been way too busy doing all types of other things, such as jumping jacks and putting together puzzles and
documents.
Tons of documents. But who has time to sit there and truly set up a merch store?
Not me, I'll tell you what. If only there was an easier way for us to open up a merch store to sell our merch to people.
Well, you know what, Steve? There is live right now. We have the That Sounds Terrible Go On podcast store, and it's all available on redbubble.com. Go to redbubble.com. Look up our store. It is TSTGo-pod. Again, TSTGo-pod. You'll see fun little things that we say on here. You'll find stickers, shirts, hats.
That's some high quality merchandise if I ever did see it right there.
So that's right, folks. Hit up redbubble.com, search TSTGo-pod, all one word, and we'll see you there.
Capitalism, baby!
Welcome back, folks.
Hey.
No, Steve, it's Halloween.
Hey, Lewern.
Hey, you know what? That's close enough, Steve. We're gonna move on from this, though, before you have any kind of breakdown.
Oh, don't do this to me.
That's right, folks. The breakdown is part of the pod. We go through the entire plot of the film that we just watched, scene by scene, giving our notes as we go. Now, we can't guarantee we're going to touch on every little detail and every little scene imaginable here. We might have to skip a few things for the sake of time.
No, we're going to hit everything. Don't worry.
Nope, Steve, I ain't doing it. We don't have the time. I'm burnt out enough as it is. But, folks, if we don't talk about something that you really feel like we should have talked about, please, again, hit us up on our Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube pages. Let's trick out this treat here, Steve, by hitting this breakdown in 3, 2, Halloween Town, a fantasy world populated by various monsters and supernatural beings, finished celebrating another successfully scary Halloween led by their well-respected Pumpkin King, Jack Skellington, an elegantly dressed skeleton. Featuring the song This Is Halloween. Meanwhile, Sally, an animated rag doll who yearns for Jack, watches from a distance when she's apprehended by her father, the mad scientist Dr. Finkelstein, played by William Hickey, who tries to drag her back home. Sally undoes the thread in her arm to dismember herself in order to escape. Let's talk the intro here with the narrator, who we've already talked about, is voiced by Ed Ivory, who also voices Santa Claus.
Yes.
I think this is really well shot and really well placed. It sets everything up you need to know before we officially start the story. But I have one gripe.
What's that?
The narration doesn't continue throughout the film, and we don't even get a bookend narration.
That's true. There was a bookend narration written, and it was recorded on Nightmare Revisited, and it's kind of reveals the narrator to have been Santa the whole time, I think, and just talks about Jack and Sally's kids and their life after the events of this and how they were changed, and it's cute. Doesn't add a whole ton to the film, but it's nice to have. Would have been nice to put in there.
Maybe they didn't include it because they just didn't have the money or time to really include something that properly showed that. Because I feel like if it was just like a blank a blank screen, nothing on it, and just the voiceover like, and Jack and Sally had children. People be like, why am I not seeing it?
True.
So aesthetically, it makes sense not to have it, but from a writing standpoint, it just bugs me that we start with a narrator, and the narrator never comes up ever again.
That's fair.
But we can get into This Is Halloween.
Yes.
Oh, delightfully creepy as it is clever.
It is just the most Halloween. There are so many weird, creepy characters, but like at the same time, they still kind of look sweet and harmless and like friendly. It's very good character design.
Well, I think like they set the tone so well in that this town likes to scare people, but as even they put it, they're not mean. They don't want to hurt anybody. Like, they're here because they're not trying to hurt anybody. They just love causing scares in human beings. And Halloween is obviously the time to do that.
That is how they know to bring joy to the children of the world.
And I love that detail, and it's going to play more into why people don't like Oogie Boogie as we go, but we'll get there when we get there.
And also just pointing out that basically 2 minutes into the movie, Halloween is already over. Halloween is the status quo of the story. This is not a Halloween movie. This is a Christmas movie. Halloween is just the starting point. This is Luke on the farm in Tatooine.
Steve, let's just meet in the middle with the people who argue otherwise and just say this is a Black Friday film.
Shit. I mean, there's so much merch, I can't disagree with that.
Capitalism, baby! I want to dial back real quick, and I want to talk about these characters. You brought them up, like they're so creative and so fun. You got the goose, the ghoulies, mess of other things that go bump in the night. Did you have a favorite, like, original townsperson design?
Ooh. I just feel like the one hiding under your stairs with fingers like snakes and spiders in his hair is just such an out there wacky design. And like when he comes out from the shadows, he's just like the cutest little guy. I love him. He's just like, hey, who's your personal favorite, Corey?
I love the Hanging Man tree. Just such a cool and creepy idea that this creature isn't just its own thing. It's 6 things put together. There's 5 men that are hanging, and then the tree itself is alive.
It's great. And they all know how to sing together.
Also, let's talk about the introduction to Sally. Really sets her tone. It shows us her fondness for Jack without outright saying it, and also shows that she's trying to find her own path when she's escaping her creator/father, Dr. Finkelstein.
She checks most of the boxes for a Disney princess. She lives in a castle. She yearns for a life outside of it. She's got a love interest who is a royal. She's good looking, and she's clever.
And she gets her own solo song.
Absolutely.
Unbeknownst to his subjects, however, Jack has grown tired of the same annual routine this year and wants something new. While lamenting his desire to himself in the local cemetery, Sally watches on as she collects deadly nightshade. Featuring the song, Jack's Lament. You know, if you look closely, you'll see Jack slowly starts becoming uncomfortable with the attention he's getting as the townspeople fawn over him. It starts off with when people are like, Jack, you did such a great job. And he's like, yeah, no, thank you. I really did. And then as they keep adding more on, he just becomes more and more uncomfortable till you see the scene where he's just backing away.
A lot of that is attributed to, and sorry, I'm going back to this well, but this is largely a story about how Danny Elfman was tired of being a rock star. And that's what most of these songs are about. Just swap out Halloween for rock music. And, the adoring fans coming after him is just like one more little detail in that tapestry.
I can be fully on board with that because it really plays into Jack truly loves scaring people. However, he doesn't do it for the fame. The man is exhausted because of the fame.
Yeah.
And again, he's very relatable. Talking here in Jack's Lament, he's just talks, I don't want to do the same thing year after year.
Also, the cinematography in this number is just gorgeous. The way he's like silhouetted against the moon, the way the camera is swirling with the music, the movement, the lighting, everything is just gorgeous in this number. And it's so simple. And we see Zero for the first time, which places this at both the beginning and the end of the Dead Boy and His Dog trilogy.
That is correct. We have covered currently 2 of those 3.
Yeah, we're going to have to do Corpse Bride at some point.
Well, we'll get there. over my dead body. The song also is used to help show Sally's longing for Jack and her empathy towards him by showing her staring at him from a distance so that she truly understands what he's going through. It's a nice connection moment that's just for her, because obviously, like, he doesn't know that she's there. But it's a way of giving her, I feel like, a little bit more motivation and to be like, oh my gosh, he really does feel the same way I feel. Like, I want more out of life.
Yeah, no, that's a good way to put it. That's a good take. I just kind of see her in the scene and just like, oh, she's pining after the rock star. Who isn't?
I would love to be, wed to Dave Grohl. Let's be honest.
I got another confession, my friend.
Line I quote a lot alert here.
Nice work, Bone Daddy.
They knew what they were doing.
Sally returns home for her detached arm when she is caught by Dr. Finkelstein as she's replacing her supply of deadly nightshade. While he is stitching her arm back on, she laments about the restlessness she's been feeling. Meanwhile, Jack and his ghostly dog Zero go for a walk in the woods. The next morning, they come upon a strange circle of trees, each with a door representing a holiday. Curious, Jack opens the Christmas door and is sucked in, landing in Christmas Town. Jack, awestruck in this unfamiliar holiday, develops an obsession for everything Christmas, featuring the song, What's This? I love how proud Sally is when she's correcting Dr. Finkelstein.
That's twice this month you've slipped deadly nightshade into my tea and run off.
3 times.
She's just so happy about poisoning her father.
That is a nice little detail. Also, how about the fact that he keeps trusting her not to poison him while still keeping deadly nightshade in the house?
Well, if you notice, it's so high up in the cupboard, he doesn't know it's there. It's not like he could stand up and get it.
True.
Also, here we see that Zero's nose glows as he's trying to find one of Jack's ribs that he threw, which I love they have these little sight gags every now and again. Just, oh, hold on, Zero, pulls out a rib. Go get it, boy. I love it. It's just so cute and quick, but it also really helps to move the plot here along and set up that, like, oh, Zero has a glowing nose, like Rudolph.
Dropping them breadcrumbs, baby. And just plot-wise, just reiterating again, Jack falling into Christmas Town is the inciting incident of the story. This is a Christmas movie. It's about Christmas.
I full agree. And can you blame Jack for opening the Christmas Town door? It's got all these bright colors to it, and it just emanates happiness.
It does. So does the entire town. Like, the difference in color schemes between the two towns is just another great little detail. Everything is saturated and bright and red and green and blue in Christmas Town. And Halloween Town, everything is muted. It's grays, it's earth tones. There's a little bit of red here and there, but it's just cranked up in Christmas Town.
It looks like something literally out of a Hallmark Christmas special. I'm half expecting Jack to stumble across some woman and fall in love, like before the third act is over.
Only if they went to high school together.
See, and that's, he dropped out. That sucks. There's a quick scene where the mayor rings Jack's doorbell the next morning, and he gets worried when he's not there, giving us the great line to summarize all politicians everywhere.
I'm only an elected official here. I can't make decisions by myself.
It's perfect.
I think this scene is there for 2 reasons. One, to show that Jack has been walking for just one single night and how important he is to how Halloween is executed in Halloween Town.
Yeah, it really shows what the Pumpkin King actually is there for, which I don't know if that's a detail we needed, but it's nice to have. It fleshes out the world more.
I've got a quick question, though.
Yeah.
The sun is revealed in this scene to be in the shape of a jack-o'-lantern, so is that how it is for every world that stumbles their way through the forest, or is it because we're in the Halloween Town dimension?
I think actually if you pay close attention to the angle at which it rises and the length of the shadows from the start of Halloween through the following morning, you can find that shut the f*** up and don't worry about it.
It's a cute detail. It just raises questions about the logistics of the world.
Don't worry about it.
All right, fine. But you know what I am going to have to worry about?
What?
Not this song. What's This is a banger.
Mm-hmm. I love, just like the whole time, Jack is very clearly an outsider in this world and just happens to constantly evade detection.
Well, if you think about it, if he's so used to being in the human world, he's used to being sneaky, and because you have to be sneaky if you want to scare people, right?
True.
So I think it just makes sense. And also, like, he's a skeleton. He's not leaving giant footprints everywhere, so no one's gonna really be like, what are these footprints? What's the hell's going on here? Like, this man hides everywhere. Like, he's like hiding in a snowman after 2 seconds of noticing, like, oh no, someone's coming.
It's great.
I love the one shot personally where he takes the lights and he pulls them up and he's like, I can't believe my eyes. It's literally like he's grabbing the lights and like, oh my God, I'm taking this in. This is so cool. Like he's like a kid who's so excited about this new shiny toy in front of him. He just brings it close and like he's hugging it. He's like he's hugging Christmas.
Who wouldn't want to? It's Christmas Town is a warm, inviting place. Because it's a Christmas movie.
Jack returns to Halloween Town and calls a town meeting where he describes what he saw in Christmas Town. The townspeople don't seem very impressed, so to draw them in, he makes up some elements of Christmas, including Sandy Claus, to make it sound scary. Featuring the song Town Meeting Song. We also get one of the most quoted lines of this entire film. I see it every year on November 1st. There's only 365 days till next Halloween.
364!
Technically, the werewolf is correct.
Yeah, someone's got to correct that mayor.
He's just an elected official. He can't count by himself.
It's true.
I also like how when they're all talking about where they've searched for Jack, to truly drive home that they've looked everywhere, one of the vampires says they looked behind the Cyclops' eye, following it with the, I did! Like, he's just really, like, professing, like, no, I really looked behind his eye.
The vampires are so goofy.
It's great. It's crazy how after just one single day without Jack, the entire town is falling apart.
People gotta have their mascots.
Do they?
Hey, Gritty's a national treasure.
All right, let's move on to the town meeting song here. I'm gonna have to say this is the weakest song of the entire film. Like, I'm not saying it's bad. Put down the pitchfork. But it only works because of the visuals.
Yeah, it's definitely more of a plot song than hey, this is fun music song. But it's I love the ideas presented in it. How excited Jack is about Christmas, and yet showing how little he actually knows about it, and then trying to explain that to everybody like it's just a game of telephone. Musically, I don't care. Story-wise, it's a fun time.
And I think it also sets up how things are going to go very bad with the townspeople taking over Christmas, because at one point they're all for it, but only when they believe that the presents are supposed to explode or have like diseases pop out of them.
Jack tells them it's about bringing children joy. The only thing they know about bringing children joy is scaring them.
Just like Reaganomics.
Hey.
The next day, Jack begins performing experiments to try and understand the essence of Christmas. During his testing, Sally escapes again to bring him some food and dinner before quickly leaving. Later, she sees a vision of a Christmas tree burning. After eventually having a breakthrough, Jack announces to the entire town that they will take over Christmas this year, featuring the song Jack's Obsession. Sally throwing herself from her bedroom window before putting herself back together, like, it's a Tuesday. What are you gonna do? I think it was very, very cute.
Yeah, no, it shows how resourceful she is and how fearless, and also just like these people can't die. It's pretty great. It's a nice little perk to have.
It also shows that Sally bringing Jack food just shows how well she knows him, because she knows, oh, he's all in on this. He's not going to take a break unless someone forces him to.
Very true. Jack's whole scientific approach to understanding Christmas is just the perfect allegory for like anthropologists trying to understand other cultures and just doing all their research in a book instead of actually being there and learning from the source.
Yeah, like when he says,
Interesting reaction. But what does it mean?
He's trying to go about this the entire wrong way. Again, it's a nice way of setting up that this is gonna go bad.
Also, he's reading Rudolph in this scene, dropping more breadcrumbs for later.
I do got to talk about Sally's vision here. Symbolism is pretty direct. It's also very clever. However, there is no explanation as to how this happened or if she normally has these kinds of visions.
Yeah. It's a one-off kind of deal, just to create tension.
Like later on, she even says, like, oh, I had a vision, Jack. Do you normally get visions? Have we seen one of these before? I want to know if there was maybe something on the left on the cutting room floor about her having another vision that would set this up. But
Yeah.
I don't. I got nothing here. I got nothing here. I feel like it's probably expanded more on in the Sally books that she has mystical magical powers somehow, whatever. I don't know. I like it, but I hate it.
Fair. Yeah, it's a one-off.
Let's talk Jack's obsession, though. I think it's very clever and imaginative. Like we talked about, he's trying to do all these scientific experiments, and then he's like, pontificating to himself. So, like, he's someone who kind of gets that he's not getting it, but he also is sort of gets like the general idea. The problem is the devil's always in the details when you're trying to make something, and the details on how to get to the joy is completely lost on him, and it's even more lost on the townspeople, as we saw from the town meeting song.
Yeah, and yet despite all that, he decides, hey, we're gonna do Christmas.
In such a dramatic fashion, too, like throwing open the windows and announcing to everybody.
I love that everyone is just waiting in front of his house for him to do that.
Hail to the king, baby. Jack begins assigning jobs to the residents of Halloween Town. Dr. Finkelstein must whip up some reindeer. Halloween's top trick-or-treaters and Oogie Boogie's henchmen, Lock, Shock, and Barrel, played by Paul Rubens, Catherine O'Hara and Chris Sarandon, respectively, are to kidnap Sandy Claus, featuring the song Kidnap the Sandy Claus. So finally we get to meet the troublesome trio, the triplets of terror, the triumphant tykes of trick-or-treating, Lock, Shock, and Barrel. How fun are these three?
Oh my god, they're just a couple of scamps. Not a couple of scamps, they are 3 scamps, to be specific. They represent the mischief of Halloween. They are always up to no good, and it's kind of a wonder that Jack trusts them to do anything. But they're fun, and they're vicious and evil, and I like how their masks look like their faces.
I think the reason Jack trusts them is I think Jack sees that there is some type of hope in them, like they're not totally, completely corrupt by Oogie Boogie, because he's obviously speaking highly of him, like, you're Halloween's top trick-or-treaters. So they clearly partake in the general scaring of people. And I guess if we're going to possibly have a, the curtains just might be blue situation, I would imagine because they're children, they're more easily like influenced, which is why Jack's kind of like, all right, you're not really set in your ways. So maybe I can be a better influence than the 40-year-old man in his basement that you guys hang out with all the time.
All valid. It's just, these kids are clearly evil.
In all the right ways.
Oh, yes.
And what better way to display that than through the song Kidnap the Sandy Claus? My favorite song of all of the songs here, and one that actually made an appearance in our top 12 songs from holiday specials.
Episode 40.
It's so devilishly creepy and clever. Like, you have 3 children talk about wanting to kidnap Santa Claus and cause him harm while they're doing it.
Yeah, most of the song is about murder instead of kidnapping, and it's great. They're just thinking all the different ways they can completely destroy and mangle Santa's body and make him cease to exist, when all Jack wanted was for them to bring him to him.
Well, thankfully, they didn't bring anybody else along when they come back into the next scene, right?
Yeah, because that would just be ridiculous. Like, there's clearly a Christmas door and other doors that lead to other holidays that are clearly not that.
Yeah, nothing bad could have happened to whoever they may or may not have brought back.
Yeah, it's fine.
Sally's task is to make Jack a red Santa suit. She tries to tell him that co-opting Christmas is a terrible idea, but he's too wrapped up in his own enthusiasm to listen. The 3 trick-or-treaters return triumphantly with the Easter Bunny, with Jack sending them back after scolding them. Meanwhile, the town begins getting prepared for Christmas, featuring the song Making Christmas.
Yeah, so I love how Jack's only problem with the kids capturing the Easter Bunny is the fact that they got the wrong person, not the fact that they brought him all this way in a garbage bag. Just shows where Jack's priorities are at and how little he understands the world around him.
Also, leave it to a man to not listen to the woman warning him that this is a bad idea.
Yeah, what does she know?
Yeah, what does she know? She was just put together yesterday.
Well, isn't that so convenient?
Yeah, it really tears you at the seams.
Got me in stitches.
Let's talk about Making Christmas.
Yeah, let's pull that thread.
Now we get to see all the joy that the townspeople have in taking place in this holiday. And again, Jack is way too blind to see that this is going to go horribly wrong, even as he's correcting them. Like, one of them's like, oh, no, use a dead bat instead of a dead rat. What? Sir, no.
Yeah, Jack's idea of tame is everyone else's idea of terror. But yeah, making Christmas is just a super fun cultural appropriation anthem.
What a sentence.
Right?
This really is a cautionary tale for, cultural appropriation. Stay in your lane, kids.
Yeah. Don't try to co-opt what you don't understand or that you're not a part of.
I'm specifically talking to all of the white people who go out on Cinco de Mayo wearing a sombrero.
Get 'em.
I hated working in a bar at that time.
Ooh, yeah.
Lock, Shock, and Barrel return to Halloween Town with the Sandy Claus. Jack directs the trick-or-treaters to take Sandy Claus away and make him comfortable, but they give him to Oogie Boogie instead, featuring Oogie's song. Sally's still trying to plead with Jack to not go through with this, and Santa completely bewildered at what's unfolding before him. Like, he literally comes out dazed.
Yeah, I love how oblivious Jack is to what he's doing to Santa when Santa gets there. Santa's like, oh my god, this is terrible. What are you doing? This is a horrifying place. And Jack's just like, oh, a hat. Also, Oogie's song is my personal favorite in this film. Such a delightful villain song. He's having so much fun, and I love the line, what are you gonna do?
I'm gonna do the best I can.
And this is also the one that scared the hell out of me as a child.
Yeah.
It also really tells us all we need to know about Oogie.
It's much more fun, I must confess, when lives on the line.
Yeah. Makes him a fun but intimidating villain, and I don't even mind that he's introduced super late in the movie. Like, his presence is kind of felt before that, a little bit. He's hinted at here and there, but once we finally get him, oh my god, what fun. And the sets they have for his lair are just like the most creative in the film.
Oh, they're absolutely my favorite. I like how we do get to explore that a bit more as we get later on into the film, as we get to the final, the finale. But God, this villain is just so deliciously evil.
Just terrific.
Also, let me ask you a question. Why do you think Jack and Oogie are rivals?
I'm gonna guess it's a difference of philosophies of what Halloween is supposed to be. Jack thinks it's about bringing joy, and Oogie thinks it's about bringing harm.
I fully agree. It's Jack's about scaring, Oogie's taking it way too far. I brought it up before. Oogie tries to torture and even kill Santa Claus in this, and he even says that, like, hey, I'm gonna kill you, by the way, but I'm gonna have fun while I'm doing it. That's what he does in order to scare people. So in a sense, Jack is like the spooky monster, while Oogie is the guy running at you with a chainsaw.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, I'd like to say, I think that's why Oogie is ostracized from the rest of Halloween Town. Keep in mind, he doesn't live in Halloween Town. He has to live outside of there. He's not, I think the whole thing is he's not allowed in. Because notice he's not in the Halloween, in the opening, other than, where he's, the shadow of the moon at night.
True.
He's not allowed there because he takes it too far, and the townspeople are like, yeah, no, we don't, get out. We don't want you here.
Yeah, valid.
Sally tries to sabotage Jack's Christmas Eve delivery by adding fog juice to the town well. But the spectral dog Zero, who happens to have a glowing nose, comes to the rescue, featuring Sally's song. Sally deduces that only Sandy Claus will be able to help Jack now and sneaks into Oogie Boogie's lair in an effort to free him. Unfortunately for her, she's captured by Oogie Boogie. So, Zero's nose being the thing to save the day. We've talked about it briefly. It's a nice call back to Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and just a little something more to make this feel a bit more like a Christmas film.
Yeah, it's Christmas, but with a twist. You got Zero up front on the sleigh, all the other reindeer are skeletons, the sleigh is a coffin, Santa is a skeleton. It's just delightful. They commit to the aesthetic.
And Sally's song, it's so heartbreaking, it's so beautiful.
It is.
Showcasing her worry and desire for Jack, but it's also just an instrumental copy of Jack's lament a little bit. It's kind of just further showing how alike and linked together they are.
No, yeah, they do kind of go together, don't they? Nice.
Very clever written song. And you brought it up before of the Nightmare Revisited. I feel like this is the best cover on that entire album.
Yeah, Amy Lee.
Evanescence's Amy Lee sings this, and she was the perfect choice for that. Nobody else I feel like could do what she did for that song.
Yeah, it gets you right in the soul butt.
Nothing like the ass soul to really make you clench down.
Also, how about Oogie Boogie's weird like foot fetish?
Yeah, he focuses on that foot way longer, and I think it's got to be a known thing because she sent just her leg in.
Yeah, it's
Ugh.
ugh. Like he thought he was gross before.
We're not here to kink shame. We're just concerned for your health.
I'm here to foot shame. You're into foot stuff? Stop it.
We just lost one viewer.
Worth it.
Also, the other thing about like Oogie here, another power of his is revealed in that he can suck in like Kirby does.
Mm-hmm.
Never brought up again, never used again, nothing. Just, I don't know.
Well, they show it briefly earlier when Lock, Shock, and Barrel send the bug down to him.
Oh, okay, no, you're right. They do. That's fair. I stand corrected.
But he sucks.
Jack sets off in his sleigh, inadvertently spreading terror and mayhem at every house he visits. He ends up being blown up out of the sky by the military of the terrified populace. Realizing both his mistake and his desire to be the best pumpkin king he can be, he goes back to Halloween Town to find Sandy Claus and set Christmas right, featuring the song Poor Jack. Finally, we're getting some time to see some people actually getting terrified in this film, and Jack is having the time of his life doing it.
Oh yes, he is spreading his special brand of Christmas throughout, and I love the payoff of it. Love all these creatively creepy, scary presents. The shrunken head, the snake that eats a tree, the possessed wooden duck that's trying to eat everybody. Like, you got some fun ideas going on there, and he is completely oblivious.
How many of these people do you think are definitely dead after Jack visits? Because we see, spoiler alert, Santa saves the day, and we see him saving like a few of these kids, but there's a few that we don't cut to him saving them. So do you think any of these people are dead?
I think it's possible. I think that Reef, that like 8 people, that claims some victims.
Oh yeah, Graham dead. Graham big dead.
For sure. She's not getting out of that.
Jack's whole take on the military shooting at him is hilarious. He's like, look, Zero, it's searchlights. And Zero's like, what are you talking about, man?
Yeah, dude is oblivious right to the very end. Also, I think it's a nice touch that you never see an adult human's face throughout the movie. It's about the kids. That's who the holiday's for.
Let's talk Poor Jack. This might actually be my favorite camera work in the entire film. They really take their time to center on Jack and utilize the symbolism of his version of Christmas literally crashing down in flames. And the song starts very, very sorrowful, but then builds up to Jack being proud of trying something new, so it becomes triumphant, and he's like accepting his place in life. It's really well put together on screen, as well as from a composition standpoint.
Yeah, absolutely. Love the way it builds. It starts in one place, ends in another. He kind of comes to the realization that maybe he's not so great at this Christmas thing, but he found some new ways to scare kids. It invigorates them and revitalizes them.
That's right. I am the Pumpkin King.
Well, what the heck? He went and did his best.
My God, he really gave them something swell.
Also, can we just clarify real quick? The way back to Halloween Town is through a cemetery.
Naturally.
I get it. It's on brand. But you're telling me no human would have ever stumbled across this at some point? No curious teenagers exploring a graveyard wouldn't have been like, oh, wow, this thing opens. Let's go inside.
I would posit that given the rules of this world, that Jack would have been able to open up a portal to Halloween Town in any cemetery. And it's only something that Jack can do, because he's the Pumpkin King.
I'll piggyback on that, but I will change that anybody from Halloween Town could do that, because that's how they visit the human world.
Fair.
And it's because they have holiday powers.
Yeah, because, I mean, Santa's got to have some way of getting from Christmas Town to the real world, right?
Yeah, he's got to open a portal. Even if we don't see the portal, we obviously know that Santa is magic. So I'd be willing to accept that, even though they don't show it, but I'm willing to accept it.
Good enough for me.
Jack surprises Oogie Boogie, frees Sally and Sandy Claus, and unravels Oogie Boogie in a decisive final showdown. Santa scolds Jack about trying to take over a holiday that isn't his, and then sets about magically saving Christmas. And here we see Oogie showing who he truly is, a cheating gambler who thinks true scares are when you hurt and kill people, and he does this when he tries to drop Santa and Sally into what I can only assume is some type of lava.
Yeah, he's, the worst, and Jack comes at just the right time to save everybody. And I love the reveal of it. Like, he dumps them supposedly into the vat of lava or acid or what have you, and wait a second, there's no splash. And suddenly Jack is just on the thing, and such a fun little set piece with these two fighting. And
I feel like this isn't the first time they've had a showdown before, because Oogie is, like, legitimately scared for a brief second.
Yep. He knows he f***ed up.
And we get such a great exploration here of Oogie's home and all, like, the nice traps and everything that are inside, like the shooting men, the saw that comes down, all of that, like the cards with swords and stuff like that. It's so cool. It's such a cool design.
It is. And just like everything is heightened by the black light going on, just makes it feel creepier and basementier.
That's right, folks. Remember, Oogie is just a 40-year-old in his basement.
With a great singing voice.
And Oogie's undoing is, of course, his unraveling. I'm not proud of that line either, but we're going to make it work.
It's technically true.
And what's he full of? Bugs. Why bugs?
Because they're creepy.
And they're crawly?
They're all together sprawly. I don't know.
I don't know either. Listen, it works. You know why it works? It works. Shut up. It's a movie, all right? I'm on board with Steve with this one now. Shut up. It's a movie. Just roll with it.
Goddamn right.
But I also love, like, how all the bugs are, like, screaming, my bugs, my bugs, my bugs. Like, it's literally his essence is just coming apart, and then Santa gets the last step on him, like, take that, you little bastard.
Santa don't take no guff from nobody.
You can't just try to kill Santa and get away with it. Santa remembers.
Straight up. And I feel like Jack is just expecting Santa to be grateful for him rescuing him, but Santa's just like, look, what did you do? You ruined Christmas, you idiot. I gotta go fix this now.
Right, like I said before, he's so annoyed about everything. He is like, I had a plan and you totally ruined my whole entire plan for Christmas. Now I have all this extra work to do. And also, Santa flies back up through the chute that he was shoved down earlier, right? But the only difference this time is that he has his hat. So is his hat the source of his magical power?
I think if you look closely and pay attention to the angle at which his hat is resting, as opposed to where it sits on Jack's head, you can shut the f*** up. It's a movie.
You know what? I will shut the f*** up, because it is a movie. I just needed to point it out because of who I am as a person.
Don't worry about it.
Jack and Sally return to town just as Santa Claus flies over and offers the Halloween town folk a bit of Christmas magic. Their first snowfall. Jack and Sally share a tender moment in the cemetery, realizing that they were always meant to be together, featuring the song Finale/Reprise. It's a nice little bow to wrap everything up. Townspeople's reaction to the snow is cute, and Jack singing to Sally because he finally sees her. It's very, very sweet.
It is. And once again, story-wise, this is Jack, our main character, returning to the status quo, but everything has changed now, thanks to the events of the movie. The events of the movie being Christmas, the status quo being Halloween, now it's been Christmasified. This is a f***ing Christmas movie.
I'm not arguing with you, but our audience is.
Fight me on this, people. It's a Christmas movie.
And folks, if you want to fight Steve on this, please leave a comment on our Instagram, YouTube, or Facebook page.
Yeah, I'll totally check that.
He does, folks. He checks it every 5 minutes. It's honestly really concerning. We're thinking of getting him into rehab.
Be cool, baby. Damn. There's not really much of a love story throughout this movie. It's mostly just kind of Sally having a crush on Jack. But it's cute when they get together. Just a fun little moment. It doesn't need a whole plot build-up. It's just, okay, great.
And influencing goth women everywhere to go ahead and find their very, very skinny goth boy.
Oh, yeah.
And folks, that's going to be the breakdown.
We broke it right down.
Oh, we sure did. We broke it like we yoked it. Ugh. We'll work on that in the Halloween workshop.
Making podcasts, la la la.
All right, folks. Oh, we got to take a quick break here. So one more ad break and we'll be back. Don't you go anywhere.
Hey, folks, did you know that we're a couple of corporate whores? We will do whatever you say for money. That's right. We'll give an ad that promises the world to your potential customers for whatever you're trying to sell. Is it true? Doesn't matter. Is it going to work? Still doesn't matter. Give us $5, give us $10. We'll make all your dreams come true as long as your dreams are limited to having your product hawked on our podcast.
But Steve, what if I don't have an advertisement written for you?
Well, for a small extra fee, we can write one for you, aka make one up on the spot and half-ass it.
That's right, folks. If you have any interest in advertising with us, please hit us up on our Instagram at That Sounds Terrible Pod, or find us on Twitter by looking up That Sounds Terrible, Go On.
Slide into our DMs so we can slide into your ads. We're going to do an ad for you.
That's right, folks. Fill our bank accounts so we can line your pockets with that sweet, sweet internet money. Welcome back, folks.
You made it.
You sure did. Just like they were making Christmas. Right now, Steve, you and me, we're going to make something else.
A baby?
Not yet, Steve. The technology isn't there yet, but I think instead we're going to be making some
Little bits!
Oh, just a little bit. That's right, folks. We're doing Little Bits. It's part of the show where we talk about little things that we didn't get to say, maybe some things we learned along the way. So that being said, Corey, you got any bits?
I sure do. I'd like to start off with, we mentioned him before, but Vincent Price was originally cast as Santa Claus. Obviously, Tim Burton, being such a huge fan of Vincent, wanted to include him in his work as much as possible. However, when Vincent's wife had passed away, his own health began to fail very rapidly, and they were able to get recordings for him as Santa Claus. However, he was so weak and frail at the time that they were deemed unusable, so that's when they decided to replace him.
That's unfortunate.
It is. It's sad, but I mean, it is how it is at the end of the day. We needed somebody who had that booming voice of Ed Ivory to really bring Santa to life. I'd be kind of interested in maybe even hearing what Vincent Price did, just for comparison. I'd still probably agree it shouldn't be in the film, though.
Yeah, that would give Santa a whole different vibe.
Steve, do you have a bit?
So in the jazz band in Halloween Town, they've got, the saxophone, the clarinet, the upright bass. In the upright bass is a dummy, and that dummy looks exactly like Danny Elfman. Just a little Easter egg that they threw in there. You got any bits?
I want to give a special shout out here to the biggest Nightmare Before Christmas fan that I know. Her name is Chelsea. I give her this moniker, given that she has actually played Oogie's Revenge all the way through multiple times. She is always super excited about it. I'm pretty sure she's also dressed up as Sally, like for Halloween before. But more than anything, she has this really bitchin', mostly full leg tattoo of a bunch of the characters on her. It like wraps around her leg. It's utterly amazing. If I can get photos of it, I'll put them up on the Instagram with her permission. But I just want to give a special shout out to Chelsea.
Good job, Chelsea.
Steve, you got any bits?
One character we didn't really touch on because he is basically absent for the entire movie is Igor, Dr. Finkelstein's assistant. Just like all the stuff going on with Dr. Finkelstein and Sally, where was Igor throughout all that? Maybe spying on Sally when she gets the deadly nightshade, or alerting Dr. Finkelstein when Sally escapes, or anything like that. He just shows up once to say, "Master, the plan." I love that line delivery so much. I wish he was in it more.
He was too busy focusing on getting more of those biscuits, because he had to risk it for the biscuit.
One does have to risk it if one wishes to obtain said biscuit. Corey, you got any more bits?
Originally, the ending to this film was going to have Finkelstein be revealed to be Oogie Boogie, where he would admit he was doing it because he was jealous that Sally chose Jack over him. This was very, very early on in the story before, Selleck did a bunch of rewrites to the script. When Tim Burton heard this idea, He literally kicked a hole in the wall, which what the crew did, they cut it out and they framed it as kind of just a reminder of like, don't do stupid crap.
Great.
If you want, there are storyboards of this and audio recorded for it that you can find online as kind of like a deleted scene.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Little bits!
Just a little bit.
All right, folks, now it's time for everyone's favorite segment.
The Untitled Ben Affleck segment?
That's right, Steve. It's As Played by Ben Affleck.
Untitled Ben Affleck segment.
For those who never listened in, As Played by Ben Affleck
Untitled Ben Affleck segment
is when we choose one character from the film that we just watched to replace with Ben Affleck. Now, there are 3 eras of Ben Affleck that we have to choose from, so we choose a character to replace with Ben Affleck. What era and why? First off, we have the Good Will Hunting era Ben Affleck, which is when he was the indie darling and just starting to get into action films. Next up, we have the Jiggly era Ben Affleck. This is the rom-coms, starting around the release of the Jiggly film. Finally, we have Batfleck era Ben Affleck, where he's older, more chiseled, and got that beautiful salt and pepper beard. Now, with that being said, Steve, who are you replacing with Ben Affleck? What era and why?
I'm gonna go a little bit off book on this one, so bear with me here. A little off the rails. But I am going to replace Lock, Shock, and Barrel with Good Will Hunting era Ben Affleck, Geely era Ben Affleck, and Batfleck era Ben Affleck. One of each. And I want them to all be working together as trick-or-treaters, and I want them to kidnap Sandy Claus together.
I like that. I really, really like that. That's, damn. Well, it's gonna blow mine out the water.
Well, that being said, Corey, who are you casting with Ben Affleck? What era and why?
I went very simple with this one. I decided to replace the one band guy that says "Nice work, Bone Daddy" with Good Will Hunting era Ben Affleck. Specifically in the film Dogma, I could see his character delivering that line perfectly. Just that slight Boston accent to it, but just kind of that like matter-of-fact pitch on it as well. I think he would nail that, and that would just be a really cool, like, oh my god, it's Ben Affleck moment for any super Ben Affleck fans or Soup Affleck fans that people are currently workshopping.
That's also a good choice, Bone Daddy.
And folks, that's going to wrap up As Played by Ben Affleck.
Untitled Ben Affleck segment.
And going to lead us to our final question, which of course is, Steve, would you watch this film again?
Oh, absolutely. This is my favorite Christmas movie of all time. It's a Christmas movie, and I watch it pretty much every Christmas, and I will probably watch it in the following Christmas, and the one after that, and the one after that. Corey, would you watch this film again?
Absolutely. Yes. I love watching this film, even if it's just like on as background noise while I'm doing something. It's fun time, whether you're watching it alone or you're watching it with friends, or in the rare instance where you're watching it with someone who's never actually seen it. It happened once. I won't name names, but I had to show somebody this film one time, and thankfully they enjoyed it, so I could continue speaking to them.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, you know. But this film is so much fun. Whether you're watching it around Halloween time or around Christmas time, I fully agree it is a Christmas film.
Yeah! I convinced him, everybody. It was a hard-fought battle, but I won.
It's definitely just captures so much joy in it in so many different ways. The music is fantastic. The story is very simple and easy to follow along with. There's not really a lot of... You don't have to think too hard while you're watching this film, but it's still a really good film, and that's kind of a rarity in this world.
Mm-hmm.
This ain't no Garfield and Tale of the Two Kitties.
Oof.
We'll get there.
Yeah, we might.
But folks, that's going to wrap up 1993's The Nightmare Before Christmas. We finally did it.
We sure did. We wrapped up 1993's Walt Disney Pictures presents Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Steve, now that we finished with that, what's up next for our 69th episode?
Well, coming up for episode 69, we have got the classic high school comedy / bromantic comedy, Superbad.
That's right, folks, with Jonah Hill, Seth Rogen, Michael Cera, Christopher Mintz-Plasse, Emma Stone, and of course, the wonderful Bill Hader. It's happening next. Spoiler alert, I hate this film with every part of my being. I can't wait to rip this apart.
I love it so much. It is on my list of my top 10 rom-coms, and I'm excited to defend it.
All right, folks. Well, put your bets in now as to who's going to win this fight. And until then, I've been Corey.
I'm usually Steve.
And I'm usually assuming that you're all on crack and carrying weapons. Bye, everybody!
Bye! My God, he really gave them something swell. They don't have to know that. Damn. Hey, Luwern.